he is. That's a good one. Good fish.
So today I'm out on this small body of water here in Northern California. It's kind of a lowland type reservoir. It's not too deep. I think the maximum depth is around 30 feet. But for the most part, it's just these large flats. There's a little bit of grass, a lot of wood cover. And it's November. It's that time of the year where it's not the fall anymore. It's transitioning into the winter patterns. It's cold water. I've got 43 degrees right now, so it's pretty cold as far as the water temp goes, and it's only like 38 degrees out here in the air, so it's going to be a little bit tough today. The one thing is that we've got the high bluebird skies, a little bit of wind, and actually this time of year during the winter I like to have those bright sunny conditions because those fish kind of move shallow. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing to be able to break down this body of water, because I haven't been out here in months, and I haven't really fished out here during the winter. And what I do with all the bodies of water that I go to during different conditions is I like to fish to my strengths. So today I like to fish shallow, so I'm going to go ahead and find some shallow cover that's protected by this little bit of cold wind that we have. I don't want to have that really cold wind blowing into those areas, so I'm going to find an area that's protected mostly from the northern winds. Those are the winds that are going to be the coldest this time of year and the most prevalent. So I'm going to find an area that has some protection on the north side, a little bit of cover, a little bit of hard cover, and I'm going to be able to use some of my strengths. So let's go find an area. Spot that I really like. I really like the looks of this. It's got a lot of different qualities to it that I do like. Here on the Navionics map you can see that it has a little bit deeper water. You've got this northern shore that breaks up that wind. So you got that north wind coming down, and this north shore is going to break up that wind. So you're going to be able to find some really protected areas that are going to harbor warmer water in here. And already we've got a little bit warmer water than we did at the launch ramp. But a lot of different qualities here that I like, so we're gonna kind of dissect this area. So I was idling around and looking for any signs of grass, and I found it. This is what I like to see this time of year. When it starts getting cold, the submergent grass starts dying off, and what you see here on this graph is you see the grass, you see these big vertical clumps. That's really good sign. It means that there's a lot of green grass out here. Another really good sign is the coots are cutting up this real green grass that we've got here, and so I know it's healthy. There's going to be fish in it, and this is one of my favorite places to fish. When it's real cold, I love finding places that have submergent grass like this. I'm going to pick up the Lipless Crankbait and get to work on this area. So let's see what happens. So far I just started fishing here. It looks like a really good area. It has a lot of really cool components to it that I like to see this time of year, especially that grass. I was coming up this deeper channel, and then all of a sudden started seeing some grass once it started getting shallower, and saw some of the grass floating on the surface that the coots were cutting up, and it's green, so I know that there's going to be fish around it. The two baits that really are getting me excited about fishing here is a Lipless Crankbait, which is really good when you're fishing around grass and fishing flats, but also that rip bait, that suspending jerk bait. That's going to be a really key player here for the deeper areas like I'm fishing right now. I'm probably actually going to switch right now, but you want to start from the outside edge a lot of times and then work your way shallower, see where the fish are positioned. On the sunny day, as the day gets on, I think that they're going to be a lot shallower. I'm going to catch a lot of them on this Lipless Crankbait, but for now, that suspending jerkbait is calling my name. Let's give this one a shot. This suspending jerkbait is really getting me excited. I love the suspending jerkbait bite this time of year. You know, when it gets really cold, these fish really love that suspending jerkbait because it can stay in the strike zone a lot longer than some of the other baits out there, and I really like that. I like to have that bait kind of sit right there in their face, and it's also really good for clear water, which we've got here. That's why I'm kind of choosing it over the Lipless right now, but both of them are really effective for this kind of situation. Another key factor when it comes to looking for areas that have grass still in them is looking for coots. If you're on a lake that has these coots that are you know, eating the vegetation, you know, that is a big key right there. If you see a big flock of them like I see in front of me right here, that's a good sign that there's some healthy grass there. So gravitate towards those areas and fish the edges of them. That's where I like to fish, is the edges of, you know, between the deep water and the shallower water where the grass is growing. And but you know, when it comes to looking for good areas, whether it's looking for bait or looking for grass, the birds will tell you where it's at. There we are. First fish. Tiny guy. Little fish, but it's telling me something. You know, I switched to that Lipless Crankbait because the grass started growing up a little bit closer to the surface. It was fouling up that jerkbait, and started moving around a little bit. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually on the inside grass line, closer to the shore. You know, during the summer months and the you know, the spring, most of the grass is going to be thicker towards the shore, but since that has already died off, I'm fishing that inside edge where it's transitioning into that greener grass as it gets deeper, and that fish just nailed it. So that tells me that I'm fishing the right speed. I slowed it down a little bit, got it in that grass, and I've at least got a color that they'll bite just a little bit. So we'll keep on fishing this area, fish a little bit more thorough, see what happens. You know, one of the things that I avoid like the plague during the cold months is wind-blown banks. You know, a lot of times during like the summer, those are the banks that you want to fish, where the wind is really blowing on those banks and creating a lot of disturbance, pushing those bait fish in there. But during the winter time, early spring, cold weather, you really don't want to fish those banks because it's pushing the cold water. All the cold water is going to be pushed into those wind-blown banks, and the fish don't like that. You want to fish the banks where the wind is hardly affecting it at all, and the sun is shining directly on them, so it's a lot warmer than those wind-blown banks. There we go. Oh, love making changes and then it works out. Right there is a good example of adjusting to the conditions. You can see that I took off my jacket and my bibs and made a quick run just to the grass line here. We've got some toolies, and you know, not a big fish by any means, but it's definitely telling me something that I'm actually making the right move.
That's a good one. Good fish.
Oh man, that is too much fun. I love a jerkbait bite, man. Oh, he's not giant, he's just hooked in the side. And that's one thing about jerkbait fishing, you want to make sure that you have real strong and sharp hooks. This fish, I thought that was a big fish, but came in sideways. But you know what? Have those really strong and sharp trocar hooks on it, and that makes all the difference, because I would have missed that fish if it hadn't been for sharper hooks. You know, it's been fun today. Hasn't been a super productive, you know, the few hours that I've been out here. We've caught a few fish, but that's the thing, when you're fishing reaction baits during the winter time, it's not all about catching a lot of fish and catching big fish. It's all about finding those areas that are going to hold the majority of the fish. You know, in the end, I guess the biggest piece of advice, the best piece of advice I can give you, is to always fish your strengths. Whether it's wintertime, summertime, or fishing reaction baits or fishing slow, fish the things that you feel most comfortable with, and you're going to be a whole lot more effective out there on the water. So, but overall, wintertime, you can catch them on reaction baits. Move a lot of water, find those fish, that's the key, and then go ahead and slow down, use the other baits that you feel confident in. So I'm gonna get home, it's cold out here, and I'm ready to get home and eat something. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Sonar Fishing YouTube channel. And for more fishing content, go to my website, sonarfishing.com, and check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.